I used to say this piece regularly towards the end or at the end of shows, and perhaps it's time to say it again so it sticks. Given what we've had in 8A, B, and C, perhaps this makes a bit more sense now. If you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled, and you are not here to be enslaved. You are not here to be abused or to compete with your friends, family, or neighbours either. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so, inspire others. That is the key. We will cover some of 8C later on, along with a whole heap of other op-eds. There's far more op-eds tonight than there is news or sub-intel. There will be no Q&A. I answered a lot of the questions earlier. And, of course, this week, as the clowns continue to expose themselves, we've had another alt media clown exposed their own level of stupidity. Oh dear, it gets embarrassing. And Kent Dunn, he doesn't tax his acting abilities of being a clown too much. Except now he doesn't have Drake to share the load of drivel he spits out each week. And he's now asking for funds to send to the Draco, and they will return your soul. Who writes these scripts? But there is a man who doesn't understand the finer aspects of life. There is life in Kent, but not as we know it. Return our souls. Indeed. No, avoiding assholes like Kent Dunn is what we need. I heard he got dropped by the Asian woman who was allowing him to spin his yarn on. And if Muggsy has any dignity left from her channeling BS exploits, perhaps she will boot him as well. The drivel, it used to be a source of amusement, and it is in a way, but it's also embarrassing now, the levels it's getting to. Enjoy the Westgate, Mr. Dunn. And a week where Sasha Stone sends his followers to our page to plead his case. Not a surprise. I did warn it was coming. Sasha is in trouble due to his own actions. The man with the fake name. With unproven at this point, and I must stress that, allegations of pedophilia, proven cases of disrupting the legal process with ITNJ, and proven cases of using the control system to bully alt media speakers, proven death and verbal threats to other alt media speakers, and the man with the stage name is in trouble. One suspects he will go missing or quiet, like Neil Keenan did, as his partner in crime has a tendency to do that. And I suspect the stone will be thrown under the steel bus. A week where the Vatican proved my From Russia with Love series is 100% correct. They, along with several other organisations, are all part of a satanic cult under the orders of the Black Sun. The Vatican installed Moloch in their grounds this past week, an entity who sacrificed humans, mainly children, represented by the owl in the Bohemian Grove, as the Egyptian word for owl is Molech, as in Moloch. And then we had another actor, stage actor, coming to the fore, a bit like Let's Eat Babies for Climate Change, where a young girl, looked about 14, 15 or 16, appears on stage to ask for people to embrace pedophilia and also pedophiles. Now, I can support the last part, as it requires those people be given help with their hook addiction. As for embracing pedophilia, that is a no-no. Just because they get off by abusing children, it's often overlooked. It's not just the sexual abuse, there's physical abuse that goes on as well. In some cases, torture, sadly. Does not mean that we have to support it. The damage it does to children is lifetime lasting. The solution to me, some may agree with it, some may not, and that's fine, is put them in a facility and give them access to the extensive archive of child porn that the DOD, Langley and the FBI have, where they can jack off all day and not be allowed near children. Subsequently, they can then get help within that facility. And I mean facility. Prisons are for those who acted out live on their addiction, for me. But we need to build a facility whilst in the prison grounds, but not part of the main facility. This will cut down on violence and vigilantism. Help people with their addictions by all means, but embracing that concept is a slippery slope to the dark, and it feeds the heavily Zionist-based porn industry. Pulling kids out to do climate change and eat babies and pedophilia is okay, it's desperation stuff. There was an abortion trial concluded on Wednesday in Texas, with the abortion industry arguing that they should be allowed to continue dismembering living second trimester unborn babies whilst their hearts are still beating. It beggars belief. And earlier this year, the abortion chains Whole Woman's Health and Planned Parenthood, along with other pro-abortion groups, challenged Senate Bill 8, which prohibits dismemberment abortions, a method typically used in the second trimester to kill nearly fully formed living unborn babies. It's a sick world. Where are we next? Hillary Clinton in the news this week, better known as Anne, as in Android, has said she's come under enormous pressure to challenge US President Donald Trump in next year's White House elections and make a run for presidency. Make a run? That stupid troll. Can't even walk up and down stairs, never mind run for anything. Seriously, Hillary, please shut up and go in the background. Well, we did warn it would get ugly. And the reason being is too many have not dealt with their inner traumas. I'm pleased that many in our group have, and you can feel and sense the difference in those who have. The ones who haven't will continue to spiral down until they reach the bottom of their own pit. That is a long way up than if you dealt with it earlier. I did my part in warning people back in May and June of 2015 of what was to come. We're now in that time, and it will get ugly. Quick sound check. because it sounds a bit hollow, this call. Anyone on MeWe? Sound okay? Right, and on we go. We're going to go into some news items now. US President Donald Trump has taunted former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg amid reports that he is ready to jump into the White House race. And speaking to reporters this week, Mr. Trump said of the billionaire businessman, "There is nobody I would rather run against than little Michael." And Mr. Bloomberg is expected to file paperwork for the presidential primary in Alabama on Friday, but advisors say he has not yet made his final decision. Typical of a politician then. And the 77-year-old has said only in March this year that he would not run for president, and reportedly because of the perceived dominance of Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden. But he is understood to have recently voiced skepticism that any of the current Democratic field could actually beat Mr. Trump in an election a year from now. And Trump retorted on Friday that Mr. Bloomberg doesn't have the magic to make it to the White House. The UK's credit rating is being downgraded again, according to the ratings agency Moody's, which says Brexit has caused paralysis in policy making. They don't discuss policies. We mentioned about this on our show several times. Since when did they ever discuss policies? Both politicians or the media. And then they'll throw up, like the Brexit or the Trump wall as causing a deflection, and we can't discuss what's really going on. No, you don't discuss it at any time. That's the problem. And it has changed the outlook on UK's current rating, which is a marker of how likely it is to pay back its debts. They're not likely to pay them back because the Bank of England still wants to play the old system, as we'll find out later. From stable to negative, it is said, and Moody also criticised the general election promises to raise spending with no clear plan. It's a bit like the cabal then, and how they're going to finance it. And the UK is currently rated AA2, the third highest grade, and credit rating agencies grade countries and institutions by their credit worthiness. It should be a lot lower. That in turn can affect the amount that it costs countries to borrow money. The world of finance. People are struggling with debt, and so they give them another loan with higher interest rates. That's how they work, you see. Stupid. So a country's struggling, so we're going to lend them now at higher interest rates, which makes them struggle even more. The world of economics, according to the clowns. And Moody's stripped Britain of its top AAA rating in 2013 before downgrading again in 2017. And all the major political parties have committed to ramping up borrowing as part of their general election campaigning. And they have said this is to take advantage of low interest rates. Moody's changing outlook suggests this could alter in the future. And according to Jane Sydenham from Rathbone Investment Management, said the vast spending plans announced this week make the UK look like a higher risk prospect from an international debt investor's point of view. All they have to do is step down from the old system. Bolivian President Evo Morales has resigned amid turmoil following his disputed re-election last month. And on Sunday, international monitors called for the election result to be annulled, saying that they had found clear manipulations of the 20th of October poll. Now, Mr. Morales agreed with the findings, announced his intention to call fresh elections after overhauling the country's election body, but politicians and the army and police chiefs had urged him to quit. Now, some of his allies were attacked earlier this week and said their homes had been set alight, and in a televised address, Mr. Morales said he would resign as president and urged protesters to stop attacking the brothers and sisters and stop burning and attacking. Watch this area closely, as it will blow up. It will blow up. The King of Jordan has announced the end of a lease agreement that gave Israelis access to 2 border enclaves. Under the 1994 peace treaty, Israeli farmers could cultivate land in the Jordanian areas of Naharaim and Zophar, known as Bakura and Gamra in Arabic, and the lease governing them was for 25 years, which could have been extended. However, King Abdullah announced last year that he planned to end the lease in what was seen as a sign of worsening ties between Jordan and Israel. Now, at the time, Israeli Prime Minister Mr. Nutty Asshole has said that he'd still hoped to negotiate an extension to the arrangement, but on Sunday, as the lease expired, gates on the border were closed, and the AFP reported that Israelis were prevented from entering. One farmer, Eli Arazai, said his community had been growing crops there for 70 years and described the end of the lease as a punch in the face. Not as much as a punch in the face as the Palestinian people or the Lebanese people or the Syrian people or all the other countries in that region have received due to Israeli hostilities. Nothing to do with the people, as we have found out. A Chinese maker of the rabies vaccine has been fined this week 9.1 billion won, which is about $1.3 billion, in a quality scandal that set off a crackdown on the industry, and it has subsequently been declared bankrupt. Changchun Changseng Life Sciences Limited, which lost its production licenses last year, said in a statement that a court issued the ruling after concluding the company was insolvent and couldn't pay its debts. Now, revelations that authorities failed to act immediately after finding the company might have falsified production records led to an outcry amongst a public already upset over deaths and injuries due to fake or shoddy medicines, milk, toys, and other products. Changsheng Life Sciences used expired materials, mixed different batches of products, and failed to test them properly according to the regulators. Predictably, the company destroyed records to conceal its misconduct, they said, and the country's number 2 leader, Premier Li Keqiang, said the company violated a moral bottom line. Now, no injuries were reported, but authorities recalled the company's products from China and foreign markets. Rabies is endemic in parts of China. Probably issued by the same company, a bit like the World Horror Organization. They give people stuff that makes them ill, and then they give them vaccines that makes them more ill. That's how it works.